Hello and welcome back, Tide fans. It's Sean Taylor, your host with Tide Talk. As you can recognize, Roy Dixon, I had him on the show earlier in the year, bringing him back just to talk a little bit about, Roy, things that have happened since we've had you on the show last. And, you know, all the hype this past weekend was LSU, and it was supposed to be our first test. Give me your thoughts.
First off, I appreciate, Sean, you asking me back. I don't know if it's because I did such a good job or everybody else's calendar was booked. Everybody else was booked. And that may be why you called me 20 minutes ago. But no, seriously, man, it's been a fun year, and obviously that was the biggest game so far this year, and it was enjoyable to watch and a complete game for us, other than some PAT kicks.
Yeah, everybody. Man, everybody's talking about why can't we get a kicker? You know, especially my brother, he's having a fit. But have there been any surprises to you? I mean, I know we're Alabama fans, but are you surprised with anything to this point?
The amount of consistency we've played with. You know, at some point offensively, you expect us to struggle a little bit or to kind of get in a little bit of a lull or whatever, but I'm surprised so far in a 9-game season so far that we've played with the consistency on offense we have.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Coach Saban saying maybe year 2 or 3 in that he was, you can only truly expect your team to peak 2 or 3 times a year to play at the highest level. And I'm not saying we played at our highest level, but we've been pretty consistent all year.
Does that concern you for what we have in front of us?
You know, no, because I think we have a coach that does the best job of preparing us to compete against ourselves or themselves. And, you know, I think they know they're at the top. He talks about in the mountain, the air starts getting thinner and you struggle or whatever. But I think we'll continue to compete at a high level. And one thing about it, we have some big games. And key is, you know, you can't have injuries in certain places.
I was just talking to somebody in the airport. I was coming back from a trip. As a matter of fact, that's the reason we're doing the show now. But I was talking to somebody in the airport about that exact fact, Roy, and that is, you know, the fact that Nick Saban does such a good job with not allowing 18, 19, 20-year-old, 21-year-old kids to have that mental lapse. I mean, when is the last time you've seen an Alabama football team get blown out, but then get blown out by somebody that's not ranked?
Yeah, it hadn't happened, and I don't know the stats, Sean, but you know, here again, I think he kind of goes about everything as it's an organization. He always refers to it as an organization, and the amount of talent we have. I think if you catch somebody slipping, you know, think about all the interchangeable parts of the offensive line so far.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? All those guys are 4- and 5-star recruits, and, you know, they could be undefeated and say, hey, we're not going to change anything. But, you know, they have to compete weekly to keep their spots.
Yeah.
You know, what was it? Was it last week or a couple weeks ago? Everybody's wondering, where's Damian Harris? Where's Damian Harris? Well, obviously, Joshua Jacobs possibly earned the more reps to start off the game.
And that's been a question for everybody. I mean, when you got, we always talk about 3, but, you know, Brian Robinson's pretty stinking good himself. I mean, you got 4 running backs of that caliber. Everybody asks that question. Why doesn't, you know, Najee Harris get more carries? Or why, you know, why is Damian Harris not getting more carries? But I agree with that, Roy. Did 2 weeks ago, you know, Jacobs produce better in practice and got more reps than, you know, on Saturday?
But probably, and I think Damian Harris goes about everything as a professional. And I think last time I talked about he's a professional kid that plays college football. The way he's handled everything, the amount of carries. You're talking about he has a chance to be 3 consecutive years as a 1,000-yard rusher. But, you know, here again, I just think it's the ability to keep fresh legs. It's the ability to keep everybody accountable at practice. You know, just kind of having a balance in everything they do. You're talking about the important runs that Najee Harris has at times. I really think it's attributed to that we have 3 or 4 backs that can spread the carries. You know, we probably had a couple of backs, but I think Derrick Henry back in the day separated himself from everybody else, where he warrants the carries.
Yeah, you know, you bring up a good point with respect to competition. That constantly keeps the number 1 guy on his toes. You know, I remember being, you know, a coach, heck, you too, Roy, when, you know, at Russell County even, when you didn't really have a lot of players. So, you know, the number one guy knew he was going to be the number one guy, you know, unless something just terribly happened. And, you know, so I think competition certainly drives that. It forces the number one guy to work his tail off to be the number one guy.
Man, we've dealt with that, you know, at Russell County and other surrounding.
It's probably everywhere.
It is.
It's probably everywhere.
And when you don't have to look over your shoulder and somebody's not behind you pushing you, then you become relaxed and you don't self-motivate yourself. You know, here the thing is, like when Nick Saban goes in and he's going to go all these running backs, and there's a kid right now named Trey Sanders from IMG. You know, he's
right
about 5th overall. He'll possibly commit to us, and the thing is, he could say, wait a minute, you got too many running backs. Well, Nick Saban's response to that every time is, are you telling me you're not better than they are? Can you not compete with them? And that's what he wants to hear. If they're going to say, no, I'm not, well, he don't want that type of kid. He wants kids that come in and compete.
Well, it's just like, you know, if you think back, you know, Tua, it was exactly what he said. They asked him point blank, why are you going to Alabama when, did you not see Jalen Hurts just lead his team to a national championship? And he said, well, what that tells me is they'll play the best player.
That's exactly
and it
right.
also tells me that it doesn't matter that I'm a freshman, they'll play a freshman.
That's exactly right. I agree with that. And then here again, the best 11 guys get on the field.
And it's proven itself, especially this year. I mean, you know, I've said for a long time, and we talk about it just about every show, man, I have so wanted, we knew the offense was going to be good just from the talent that we had, you know, last year. We knew the offense was going to be good. I didn't know that we were going to be this good. So, you know, to my original question, are you surprised? I'm a little surprised that we've been as good. I thought we were going to be good. I just didn't know how good.
No, I don't think anybody truly expected Tua. You know, we hear everything about how good he is, and Trent Dilfer says, you know, possibly the best quarterback he's ever seen. But you're talking about 27 touchdowns and 1 interception, and it's like the guy don't make mistakes. You can count on one hand the amount of mistakes he's made. So for anybody to say that we forecasted them to be this good offensively, no. We knew the surrounding weapons and so forth. And, you know, we talk about Tua and the offense, you know, Jerry Jeudy. You know, we hear, okay, he's good, but he's really good.
I read a stat today that, you know, he like leads the SEC in touchdown receptions and is second in the SEC in yards with 800, pushing 1,000 yards already. And we've got 4 games for sure. So yeah, I definitely think that competition is huge. I think the fact that we're Tua is surrounded by guys that he can spread the wealth to. It's great to see that. We're going to go to a break in just a second, but Roy, I was going to tell you, everybody's just, it's funny. Everybody's talked about offense, and then this past weekend, defense shows up, and boy, did they show up in a big way. I mean, I thought we were going to win the game, but 29-0, shooting them out at home. I mean, shutting them out, that's pretty impressive.
No, I thought they would have scored. A lot of times you get trash points against Alabama or whatever. But we said at the beginning, our best defense was going to be our offense for the beginning of the season, and it pretty much has. And these young kids defensively has continued to grow and progress, and we're pretty good. And a lot of people forget about how good defensively and all the talent we have.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to think about it. Well, we're going to take a short break. On behalf of Bob English and State Farm, hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
Savings this big come with their own theme music. State Farm agent Bob English in Phoenix City can help you get all the discounts you deserve with a free discount double check. After all, real savings should fold, not jingle. Get to a better state. Call Bob today.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. Roy, we were talking that last segment just about the offense, and we were kind of alluding to how well the defense has really played, and to a lot of people's surprise, I mean, for years and years and years, that's been the staple. You know, and then I think, you know, we're going into the LSU game, and everybody's, you know, really expecting this to be a shootout. I expected us to win. I actually predicted that LSU would score. I did not think that we would shut them out at home. But, boy, the defense from, losing 7 guys, I mean, losing who we've lost, and then not to mention, you know, the flip side is the coaching turnover. I mean, new defense coordinator, and I mean, what a great job that the defense has done.
You know, so me personally, I didn't think LSU was going to score a whole lot. Now, a goose egg and a shutout, you know, nobody was expecting that. I think I had 38-10. I was thinking more along the lines or whatever. But, you know, the thing is, if you go back looking at LSU during that game, I think he had only thrown 6 touchdown passes. Maybe 2 of them were against ranked opponents. The other 4 was against non-ranked opponents. I felt like we were athletic and rangy enough on the back end and could stop the run. That was the big question, and we did. I felt like they struggled a little bit. It was taking like a Steven Garcia game. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
back in 2000, they've got to hit every single throw and all those things. And we talk about
almost play a perfect game.
We talk about all the talent we've lost, but you know, I was reading a little publication a couple of days ago where some new mid-year projections for the 2019 draft. These are only projections, but you're talking about, I want to say 4 guys again, first rounders.
Yeah.
And you're talking about Raekwon Davis. You're talking about Quinnen Williams is elevated.
Who's just a sophomore.
Huh? Yeah, he's a redshirt sophomore. But so that means he's been in the program for 3 years. But he's somebody I've read about for a couple of years who's kind of been behind those other guys, looking over their shoulder. And the thing is, this particular publication, he's already jumped up to 6th, and I had him going to the Browns. Now we know that's not likely, but he's definitely in the mix now to be a first rounder. You're talking about Deontay Thompson, who's only played 11 football.
The end of last year.
11 football games now, and then the other one was Mack Wilson, who's had a solid year.
Yeah.
So those are 4 potential first-round defensive players. You're going to be pretty good with that talent, and to be able to play at the level they played with the other night was pretty good stuff.
Roy, do you think that, I mean, you know, I've thought a lot of times in years past that Coach Saban's scheme was maybe too complex. Mm-hmm. You know, guys like Reuben Foster, it took him a few years. Mm-hmm. And let's even mention Ben Davis, who it was a 5-star guy that we haven't even seen on the field.
Right.
Do you think that once the guys get the scheme, once they understand that fully, it just puts them at a different level? You already know they're athletic.
I do. Man, we talk about all the time, and even as a coach, coaching baseball, I always talk about slow down to play fast. You know what I mean? You can't go fast and play fast. You have to truly grasp the concept, the terminology, the alignments, the motions, and all those things, and the calls, what's the proper call. And when you can slow the game down and do that, and you see it beforehand, that allows you to play faster.
Yeah, I think we spoke about that in the previous show where, you know, this is Mack Wilson's first year as the play caller. Mm-hmm. It's Deontay Thompson's first year as the DB's play caller. You know, those two are having to communicate. Right. And you know, so to see Mack Wilson finally get it, because, I mean, I don't know, maybe you'll disagree, but it took him a few games this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it took, you know, I was telling our buddy, Jimmy Messick, I was telling him, I'm not hearing Mack Wilson's name called a whole lot. And I think maybe he was caught up in calling, you know, making the right call, but so it wasn't giving him a chance to go play, which is what he was used to, because last year, you know, he had somebody else doing that for him.
That's right.
You know, do you agree that, you know, now he's got it? I think he's got a grasp of it, and now you can see his performance increase.
I do, and it comes back to everything that we talked about, just experience and being in the line of fire and being able to play and get that experience behind you or up under your belt is going to elevate your opportunity to play at a fast speed.
The other thing I really think that Saban does a great job of, I mean, these guys are getting some reps, you know, in big games. You know, you saw the Mathis kid, you know, he's given Quinnen Williams a breather, and he's a young guy, and LaBryan Ray, you know, he's giving those guys a break. I mean, those guys are getting prepped to step into a much larger role, and just like you see our DBs, I mean, they were watching Minkah Fitzpatrick and Averett, you know, and Levi Wallace, and now those guys have stepped up, and man, what a great job.
Yeah, they've really came on strong. You're talking about, heck, we lost Trevon Diggs. You know what I mean? But, you know, here again, when you recruit the way he does and you run the organization the way he does and you hold everybody accountable and your expectations are where they need to be and the student athletes understand the expectations, then this is the kind of results you get.
Yeah, I think it's certainly, you know, as we've said all along, it's a testament to Saban. I mentioned before, I was talking to a guy just about, you know, his management style. You know, he seems a little frustrated this year, talking with the media. He seems a little frustrated this year. I kind of get that, but, you know, to begin with, it was Tua and Jalen and the pressure of who was going to be the quarterback.
Right.
And then it was, you know, is your offensive line not doing that good of a job? But what about your, you know, defense? And I can see where he can be frustrated, but man, he does such a great job with managing the organization.
Yeah, he does.
I mean,
he really does. And that's what I was telling old Coach Wesley Bird the other day. It's almost like, you know, when you listen to him in these press conferences or whatever, it's almost like he's been prepped with every single question. And he hasn't. You know, there's some sit-downs that he has probably, but you know what? He probably self-assesses himself and the coaches and the team more than anybody.
well, you know he does.
Yeah.
You know he does. I mean, he talks about that to his players. If you watch Rolling with the Tide, you know, prior to the year, I mean, there was numerous times where, you know, he addresses them as, what have you done today to look in the mirror and ask yourself, have I given everything that I can give to make myself better than yesterday?
That's exactly right. Man, we're spoiled. You know that. We're spoiled right now. You know, I talk to Brody all the time. Heck, you know, he was born in 2006. This is all he knows is Coach Saban. And, you know, it's a blessing for him to be able to see somebody coach this way and try to teach and make teaching moments out of this for him to understand what type of program it takes as a player or a coach to have success.
It was funny, I was reading an article, Roy, and I didn't really think a whole lot about this, but the more I thought about it, the more it ended up being somewhat true. How many times has he won Coach of the Year? Not many. And I think the reason is because the expectation is he's going to do that every year.
That's right.
You know, they generally give it to, you know, somebody that maybe struggled the year before, and then they come out and have, you know, great turnaround. And I was reading the article that I don't remember him winning.
Yeah, they kind of get overlooked sometimes, and I'm sure he's a good coach. But think about Scott Frost last year. You know what I mean?
Right.
Who turns it around, and now, you know, he's at Nebraska trying to keep his head above water.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, and people like that get overlooked, and you hope that, you know, obviously he'll be recognized, and people acknowledge what a great coach he is, but he should have a few more under his belt.
There's no doubt. They're talking about that he'll probably get it this year, but, you know, I guess we'll see. So we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back. We're going to review the upcoming game. It's supposed to be another big test for us. But we're going to take a short break on behalf of Bob English and State Farm, so hold your seats, Tide fans. We'll be right back with Tide Talk.
State Farm agent Bob English is here to help protect all the moving parts of your life with auto, home, life, and financial services. Bob English and his team make it simple to bring together what matters to you. Get to a better state. Call Bob today.
All right, welcome back, Tide fans. Roy, we got another big game coming up. SEC game. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little nervous. Not because I think that we, you know, can't beat Mississippi State. I think if we played them 10 times, I think we could beat them 9. My fear is, and I think it's the same for a lot of people, just come off a big game against LSU that was supposed to be, you know, the big test. They've got a pretty good defense. If I'm not mistaken, they're their 6th ranked defense. Pretty good defense, very, very athletic defensively. Got a very athletic quarterback who gave us a little bit of trouble last year. Fortunately for us, we're at home. What's your thoughts?
Well, you know, they've got, you know, I was looking at it, Sean, you're right, they're 6 total defense. They've got 2 first-rounders on the defensive line.
Sweat.
Simmons and Sweat.
Sweat, yeah.
Offensively, they're 2nd in the league in rushing. you know, we all get a little worried, I should say, possibly because of the letdown. You know what I mean? You know, you get up, and it goes back to what I said about only being able to perform at your peak 2 or 3 times a year. We get a little bit worried about, okay,
Can we do it
turn
again?
right around 7 days later, can we do it again? I truly feel like this year is a little different because we talked about the level of consistency we've played with offensively. I think our defensive guys are playing at their highest level right now. But it's something you're going to naturally be worried about as a coach.
Well, I tell you this. You know, we've talked about, you know, we're scoring 50-plus points a game and that sort of thing. And then this last week, you know, we scored 29, left some points on the board, you know, shot ourselves in the foot, left some points on the board. But I think what you just said is very key. Our defense is playing at a very high level right now, which can take a little bit of pressure off of the offense, that they don't have to score every single time they touch the football. So I think that's critical. I think it's going to show up even more so. You know, I think the game will be a good football game. I have no doubt in my mind that they will come in and give us their very, very best, without a doubt. They have nothing to lose. You know, they're not going to win the East or the West. They're not going. So this is their bowl game. This is a chance to knock off number one. So we'll get their best. I'm interested to see if we come in 7 days later with the same intensity, with the same focus.
You hope the home crowd will kind of rejuvenate us a little bit, or you know
it will,
and it should. The weather will be a little cooler.
Yeah.
You know, for Mississippi State to have a chance, they're going to have to control the football. They're going to have to be able to run. They're going to have to be able to run with Fitzgerald, and he's going to have to hit on some big throws and have one of those Stephen Garcia-like days that we've talked about that you have to have as a quarterback. You know, every single game that's on CBS, Gary Davis is talking about this is the recipe, and everything, it goes back to that quarterback having his best game ever.
Well, think about that.
And it's true. But, you know, I believe we'll be fine. You know, we got to stay healthy. Something happens to Tua, and, you know, the lead up all last week was Jalen will be fine for the game, and he's just one of those day-by-day things, and, you know, they show a clip of him barely being able to walk on the field.
Right.
You know, so something happens to Tua, and he's not ready, and you throw a Mac Jones in there, now the playing field becomes a little bit more even.
I'll tell you this. Fortunately for Mac Jones, he's surrounded by
That's right. That's right.
he's surrounded by a ton of athletes.
That's right.
You know, he reminds me of A.J. McCarron. We haven't really seen him all out because most of the time he's handing the ball off. He may throw some here and there. We haven't really, but his demeanor, his disposition reminds me of A.J. McCarron.
He does. He's a thinner kid and wearing number 10. That's easy comparison.
But A.J. McCarron was a very good game manager, and you know he got the ball to the people that he needed to get it to. And fortunately for Mac Jones, should that be the case, gosh, you know, we hope not, but should that be the case, he's got a stable of people to get the football to.
Without a doubt. You know, that's the thing is you can't. I think that's why people talk about Judy. How much are you going to let him get released? Well, if you double up on him now, you have Waddle and Rose and Smith and that same publication I was reading earlier. Herb Smith is projected. He's catapulted himself into like 23rd overall.
Right. He's the next O.J. Howard.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's who he reminds me of.
That's right.
Excellent blocker, but man, could really be a wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's great hands, big body, strong. So yeah, I'm excited to see if we can step up another, you know, a week later, have that same type of intensity. If we can, you know, if we can keep that same focus. I think one thing for us that Saban does a great job of is we know what's at stake. You know, we know what's in front of us, and to be able to get there, you know, we've got to take care of business, you know, this week, and then we got to look forward to the next week. And so I'm really excited to see just the fact that does the same Alabama team that played this past Saturday night show up this time.
You know, that's what we're all hoping that we'll see is the level of consistency and making the good reads and throws and just not looking sloppy. You know, we all to the point now is we expect to win, but we sit there and we
Criticize
and
the penalties and the little
penalties
things.
and all these little things, and you know what? It's we just want to see the level of consistency, like we're a dominant team.
Yeah, I think that's the message that Saban tries to, he tries to relay every week, and that's, hey guys, dominate the guy in front of you every play, take care of every play, and then let the rest take care of itself. And I think that's a good approach. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be. Got a prediction? You want to give a prediction?
Ooh.
At home.
45-17.
45-17. Well, you heard it right here, folks. Coach Roy Dixon says 45-17 for the Tide. We're going to address a question. We did get a call, and Ron Borders called and asked the question. And he basically is concerned regarding Jalen Hurts. What does it mean for him? Why did he do what he did, Roy? Why did he go ahead and play in that 5th game and basically lose that red shirt, so to speak? And then also, the second part of his question was with his brother, with Tua's brother coming. How does that kind of play out? Where does that put Jalen? Is he still number 2? And because his brother, Tua's brother's supposed to be this superstar. I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
I think if anybody understands that if you practice and play the best, that you're going to get the opportunity, would be Jalen, for him being unseated as a starting quarterback. I think the key for Jalen is Jalen has the goal and desire to play in the NFL as quarterback. I believe that Coach Enos is recognized as one of the top quarterback coaches in the country.
Without a doubt.
And listen, the opportunities that he's had to play, he's progressed as a quarterback. He's getting better. Now, he could have said, hey, I'm going to redshirt, and I'm not going to do that. And he could have still practiced or whatever possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know what the situation may have been. But here again, that says a lot about the character of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
For any kid that I've ever coached, any kid that I've ever taught, I tell them all, look, this football and baseball and basketball, it's all temporary. You know what I mean? And the type of young man and the type of character he has and possesses will be a lifetime. To be a good father, to be a good husband, and possibly a good coach one day.
Right.
And I think he's still striving to be an NFL quarterback, and I feel like he thinks that's the best situation. With that said, do I think he'll be there next year? I don't. I feel like he'll utilize the situation he's in right now and possibly try to get out there on his own and transfer. He would have graduated and take advantage of the best opportunity that presents itself next year at a different school.
That's a good thought. I mean, there's been a lot of speculation. Would he stay? Would he not? But I agree with you. It just says a lot about the type of character. It also says a lot about the way he feels about the program at University of Alabama, because I think he's a Bama guy. I think he made a decision to come there. He's going to graduate from there. And then, we'll see what he does next year. But thanks for the call, Ron. We appreciate it. Folks, fans, if you want to call into this number right here, if you got a question for us, if you've got a comment about the show, we'd appreciate that. We'll take a listen to it and address the show, or we'll address the comment or the question next week. So we appreciate it. Folks, we're going to have a great time this Saturday night. It's going to be a good game versus Mississippi State. So I look forward to seeing you right back here next week on Channel 207 at 8 p.m. And roll Tide.